traders. This is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. So we got to get through our analysis, obviously, this morning. It looks like the dollar is moderating now. It looks like the dollar is spiking up, just basically taking out some stops. I think probably in the dollar yen. Push the euro lower, the Aussie, the Kiwi. Just pushing some stops ahead of. Uh, Hold on, really quick. Um, just pushing some stops ahead of the U.S. economic data. So just be careful trying to chase the dollar here. And I think we'll be able to figure out where all the critical levels of support and resistance are at. But just be careful chasing the market around here. All right, so let's go ahead and grab the bias chart. Let's get started with our analysis with all the majors this morning. So let's go to the euro. Now remember, anything that I drew yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't save my desktop before I when I was trying to click out of everything so fast. When I shut it down, it says, "Do you want to save your workspace?" And I click no, and I go, I was like, oh man. So anyway, we'll probably have to redraw a few things today from yesterday. But anyway, so here's the euro dollar, and what Paul was mentioning, which I don't think is really completely off the wall here, is he was looking at a possible head and shoulder pattern, inverted. Now, obviously, I can tell you right now exactly where the neckline is, and that neckline comes in right here. So that's going to be today's high. So, I mean, that's a given now. And the good news is, the great news is about the euro, is if it breaks above 109, whatever the highs were overnight, 50. What is it, 51, 55, 50, what is it? 109.50. If we break above the highs, then the euro's got a clean, in my opinion, a clean move back up to 110.50 if this happens. So and that's great, because then you and I have a plan. I'm not long the euro dollar right now, but look, if we can break above 109.50, 110.50, 111, easily done. That's great. Now, the problem with trying to trade a inverted head and shoulder pattern right at this very moment in time is most what appear to be inverted head and shoulder patterns, they just simply end up being continuation patterns. That's it. More times than not. So in order to trade this, you actually have to breach the neckline. So I'll say it's an inverted head and shoulder pattern until it's not. It's only an inverted head and shoulder pattern when the neckline is broken. If it's not broken, then it's more than likely going to be a continuation pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and note the 109.50 is really key resistance, 1.0950, and right now, I mean, we're in a bigger range, but right now the bearish trend is intact. Until we break above 109.50, it is intact. All right, let's go over to where's support in the euro. So let's get rid of this really quick. The 50% retracement, see how this spike lows through here? So that's going to be 108. Let's just call it 108.85, because the low today is 108.88. So good news is we're boxed in now. Okay, so there you go. Let's go take a look at the cable. So the cable getting absolutely just hammered today. Thank God I got out of the euro pound yesterday. Hopefully some of you guys did too, because that pound dollar has just been demolished. Now, we have relative strength is diverging. Look at the hourly chart. See how we hit new lows here? We're not hitting new lows in relative strength. Now, that's not like a clear indication to me like I need to start buying the pound. But what that does suggest to me is that some of this downside pressure is waning. in the cable. So let's get rid of this stuff here. Trying to make the charts a little easier to look at. Um, okay, so the 50% retracement comes in at 152. We're at 152 60 right now. Remember this gap, even though we see the gap, not everybody's going to see the gap. You don't, you know, if you're in Europe and you don't have a rollover period at 11 p.m. London time, then you're not seeing that gap. It's that there's maybe some price discrepancy because it moved higher based on the the exit polls, but it wasn't a gap. Um, but what I do see here, which is possible, is maybe back down here to this breakout point. You can see some of these spike lows, and that all does come in around the 50% retracement. So um, if the cable continues to come under pressure, you know that is a realistic expectation. Is at 152. I just don't know if we're going to get down there today. I guess if the data is really strong out of the U.S. today, maybe we do make it down to 152. But um, I think that's going to pose a really great opportunity to be on the long side for a bounce. You know, for anybody looking for a bounce. Like if we can do this today, that would be a great place to be on the long side. Now, resistance, um, you know, it's hard to tell here if we're trying to develop a, you know, I was thinking maybe like some sort of descending wedge, but I don't know where the upside resistance is. This isn't very clean here. I guess what I will note is while we're below here, it's still pretty heavy. So that'd be 153.80. I think the cable is more of a range environment at the moment. Um, let's take a look at the Swissy. You know, Dimitri just pointed this out too. Let's see here. I don't know how clean this is either, but let's see. Yeah, could be. Could be a little hourly channel. That means this will contain or should contain if that channel stays true. Um, you know me, I don't like to chase down here, so trying to sell a rally would be best in a perfect world, obviously. Okay, let's go take a look at the Swissy. So the Swissy spiked up when the euro came down. Uh, I'm I'm I think trading the Swissy is very difficult at this point. I have, and I know I said this yesterday, but I'm gonna say it again today. I have no desire to trade the Swissy at this point. I think the risks are way too high with um, all the risks surrounding Greece at the moment. So I'm not at all excited about. Oh, here comes another wave of dollar buying. Hold on, really quick, guys. Dollar surging again. These waves of dollar buying are just coming out of nowhere. It's crazy because there's people that keep trying to fade the dollar. Might be a little false. False alarm. I thought the dollar was going to hit new highs against the Kiwi, uh, um, which would have been great because I'm short, so I like it. All right. Anyway, I'll come back to that later. Let's where we're at. We're talking about the Swissy. So, like I said, I'm not. I don't have any desire to trade the Swissy right now because if for some reason negotiations go sideways with Greece, you may be long the dollar against Swiss, thinking, oh, everything's great, and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out of the dollar Swiss because the Swiss comes into major demand if the deal goes sideways. So, like I said, I'm very disenchanted with the Swiss at the moment. 94 cents is support. 95, whatever the highs are here. 95.40, and I'm leaving it alone. 94, 95.40. Stay away from that one. Let's go over the yen. So the dollar yen, very strong here. I mean, uncanny strength, right? Uncanny type of strength here. So we are breaching the 124.20 level, which is 2007 highs. So yesterday, when I shorted the dollar yen, and I took a 30 some odd pip loss yesterday, I, the reason why I decided not to be in it is because my fear is if we start tripping stops above this 124.20 level, which we're at right now, my fear is we get too high and we're going to start really taking out stops to the upside, and that's going to provoke a big dollar move. It's going to provoke a big dollar move because you're going to see the cross rate effect. Okay. Um, so anyway, the risks are for, man, I'll tell you what, Kiwi is getting smoked here. This thing's going to try to test those lows, I think. Anyway, the fear is we start taking stops above, like, I can only imagine the stops are above like 124.50, maybe all the way up through 125. It could start cascading higher, and if it does, it's going to have that ripple effect against other majors. Um, you look at the weekly RSI, we're not overbought. Daily charts, we're getting overbought, but we've been way more overbought in the past. So I just wouldn't stand in front of the yen right now. It looks really strong, and yeah, relative strength is divergent, but we've seen that continue anyway, regardless of what's happening with the dollar yen. So don't even I don't even think about it in terms of the dollar yen. I saw thing move 1,000 pips and relative strength was diverging the whole way, so it doesn't really bother me. I think 125 is your next stop in the dollar yen. That's your next level of resistance. You have to start looking at round numbers. You don't. It's not like I can sit here in the dollar yen and say, well, you know, based on the surge, the next level is at 124.60. I mean, you could, but you're probably just going to get run over anyway if you try to fade that move. So speaking of an hourly channel, I mean, maybe 124.70, but why bother standing in the way? Especially if stops start getting triggered, and this, instead of seeing a what seems fairly orderly right now, if we start tripping stops, this thing could just go parabolic. And if it goes parabolic, then it's going to make the dollar go parabolic against everything else too. I mean, look at the euro right now. I mean, the euro's getting smashed, right? Okay. Anyway, um, support 123.50. As long as we're above 123.50, we are bullish. Um, let's see if the euro hits new lows here. Keep an eye on this stuff. All right. Canadian. So the Canadian has reached its flag target. Now, it hit it, obviously yesterday, but um, you can see here, it's all that flag's done, finito. But the the problem is if you've been trying to fade the Canadian, yeah, okay. So I want to read you this alert from yesterday, just so you kind of know my attitude towards these types of things. Um, U.S. dollar Canadian flag pattern completes. Just so you can read what I send the traders. Okay. Current 124.80. There's the chart. That does not mean short it, but it does mean the upside momentum may slow dramatically, especially that the 618 Fibo is reached as well. If you are long, you may want to protect profits here. Notice I say that does not mean short it. Now, I know people say, well, we hit a key fib level, so it's time to start shorting, but you have to be really careful fading those moves, as they're coming at you like a holy crap. Look at the Kiwi. My God, I'm gonna have to take profits ahead of this news, guys. Jesus. I mean, wow. Um, all right, guys, I got to do it. I closed Kiwi short for 55 pips. Um, yeah, I closed it. Sorry, guys. I closed it and on accidentally just closed my Aussie New Zealand, which that was a mistake. I did not mean to do that. I totally just closed my Aussie New Zealand on accident. All right. So anyway, I am out of the Kiwi dollar ahead of the news. So Jared says, thanks, Blake, for the great trades this morning. You're welcome. You are welcome. I got out of the Aussie too. Um, so, so the only trade I'm in right now, just so you guys know, is the pound New Zealand. That was an accident. I didn't not mean to close out my Aussie New Zealand. I accidentally hit in the in Desktop Pro. You can right click and close everything, and I thought I had my stop in the Aussie New Zealand. It closes out everything that doesn't have stops because I removed my Kiwi stop, Aussie stop. I accidentally double clicked and canceled my Aussie New Zealand stop. So when I right clicked and killed everything, it killed all of my trades but my pound New Zealand. Oops, that was an accident. That was a, but that's okay. So, hey, Michael, he closed half of his for 86 pips. Awesome. Lorraine says, thanks, Blake. I'm out. Lorraine, she's she's in our chat room every day. She made some money. Good. Good, good, good for you guys. Good for everybody. Okay. Now, with that being said, we got to continue on. Canadian. So Canadian, obviously, resistance is 125. We clear that, and it's gonna go crazy. We are in a very bullish trend right now inside of a big range, so just keep that in mind. Okay. So here we are. Now, as long as we stay above, let's take a look at this more. Let's, you know, do this. So as long as we stay above, let's call it 124.40, it's bullish right now. We got a bullish wedge going on. Okay. Let's go over to the Kiwi. So the Kiwi, now keep in mind that the New Zealand dollar right now, this is very threatening. Um, I mean, when I look at a chart pattern like this, tell me what a chart pattern like this does. Let me get rid of this. Do you know what when you get a chart pattern that looks like this on a weekly basis, what does it actually do for me? I mean, because I can guarantee you I'm not going to get short the Kiwi and just stay short for the next 3 months. That's not the way I'm going to do it. Okay. What does a chart pattern like this really do for you as a trader? What does it do? Correct, Greg. Cheater, he's in our chat room, so what does it do for you? Anybody else? Correct, Ron. Correct, Patrick H. It gives you directional bias. It gives you if I look at the Kiwi and I know that we're breaking down below 71.75 and we crack 71 cents and we crack 70 cents, I may not be short it all the time, but I will be directionally short for the next several months. And it's going to be very difficult to talk me out of not being on the short side of the Kiwi. I mean, we may have our bounces. I might look at it and go, well, it's pretty oversold. I'll let it bounce, and then I'm going to short it again once it's done bouncing. It's going to set up it's like a roadmap. It's like, okay, well, I know the quickest way from Phoenix to Los Angeles is via the I-10, but if I cut through Escondido and I know that that is a quicker route to get to Los Angeles from where I'm at. So I'm still going to Los Angeles, though. You know what I mean? I'm still driving to Los Angeles, and my roadmap says that's the way I'm going to go. Same thing when I'm looking at a chart. That's the best thing about knowing the chart patterns and knowing what they're capable of is because you know what to expect out of it. How it gets there might be a little, crooked, meaning, a little up and down, and it's not going to be a straight line, but it gives you directional bias, and that's the most important thing when you trade is knowing what direction you're going to be trading. Then you got to just, be able to to compensate for some margin of error, and that's why you trade with a little bit wider stops because your timing and my timing is never perfect. I wish it was, but it's just not realistically the case. Okay. So anyway, all right. I just realized that when we come back, we're gonna have to do the finish up with the Kiwi, Aussie, and Canadian, but the dollar index. But don't worry, we got plenty of time before the data comes out, so don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few moments. All right, traders. This is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. So I've got to wrap up with the Kiwi, the Aussie, and the dollar index. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's figure out where, because we've got to be getting pretty oversold here. Hourly basis, pretty close to. Let's go over to 4 hour. You know, the thing is we're not getting any reaction from up here. That's the scary thing, because if you're like long the Kiwi right now, you're like, oh my God, this thing's not even bouncing. So you think about it from their point of view. When I say their point of view, I mean the other person's point of view. And I'm not long, I'm not short the Kiwi right now, so I have no position in the Kiwi. I'm just saying that if you're if you're long, how are you feeling right now? You're probably going, oh my God, I hope we stop right here. So I'm assuming over the next half an hour, I mean, we should probably, here's 161% extension. We probably will stop here, but if we don't, man, we got to start thinking what, some major extensions are here. So let's figure that out, because I got to go with the assumption that, the data is going to be better than expected. And if that's the case, I mean, the next stop is at 70 cents. Seriously. Seriously? Seriously. You surely can't be serious. Don't call me Shirley. Yes, I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley. 7150. I mean, that's near-term support. It'd be 70.25.7150. Marsha. You guys missed that the other day. And if you're European or Asian, you have no idea what I just said, nor what it means. So, and if you're a young American, you'd have no idea what I just said either. Marsha. We were talking about China last week when I blogged about that whole Chinese market thing. Some of you are laughing. Some of you, actually, I would say majority of you are probably going, the hell is he talking about? It sounds like somebody is trying to, hold on really quick. Okay. All right, now any rally back. Now you got to think about where anybody who's look at, we're at 50 right now. Get the hell out of here. Right now, people are thinking that we better stop now, because and if we rally back to 72.20, imagine that being a gift from the Greek gods. You guys know what the Greek gods sound like? Hey, I made some pretty good money this morning. I'm going to go ahead and sing them. The Greek gods sound like this. Oh, Kiwi rallied back to 72.15. That sets up for a good short. Oh. See, I got married in a Greek Orthodox church. I'm married in a Greek Orthodox church. This will be our 13th anniversary this year, and I'm a Greek Orthodox, baptized Greek Orthodox, half Chinese person. So being to Greek churches for many years, I know exactly what Greek Orthodox gods would sing like, and they would sound something like that, but obviously a lot prettier voice. If the Kiwi dollar gets back to 72.15, we could look for a short there. Oh. Okay, I'm done. All right, let's go over to the Aussie dollar. And then Lou is probably screaming, please. And Lou is probably going, Blake, will you please just sing the Smurf song? Fa la 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 la. So we just hit our target on the this is the Aussie dollar bear flag pattern target. It has been reached. You guys see that? It has been reached. So what do you do here now that you're at 76 and a quarter? Probably go long, but I'm not that bold. If we break through 76.25, where are we going to go? Remember, this is a megaphone pattern. So between here, where we're currently at, and before we get to 74 cents, if you're buying, just keep in mind that there's still a lot of downside here. I know we've been citing that for ever since we broke down at 79 cents, and we're 300 pips lower, and you know people are still trying to buy these bounces. We might get a bounce, but those bounces seem to be very short-lived. So below 76.25 opens up a move down to major support at 75.50. This would be major support right through here. Okay. Okay. Resistance. Now think about all the people that are stuck on the short side. They're just like, Jesus, just please get us back up to some sort of resistance so I can get out of this damn thing. Just think about their attitudes right now. Think about the people that are short. They're just like, oh my God, if we can get a rally back to 77 cents, just get me out. Right? Patrick says, check out that Pound New Zealand. It's a rocket ship. Yes, it is. Oh, well, that would be the reason why, right? Trendline support. Gave you a couple times, a couple looks at it, then straight up. Okay. Oh, I was here for a reason. Dollar index. Okay, let's take a look at the dollar index. See, the problem with the dollar index right now is we're still struggling around the 618 retracement. So, I mean, you can say, oh well, the dollar's so strong and it's so strong against the euro or the whatever. But fact of the matter is, we're really stalled here at the 618, and so I mean, I'm going to just take it into an hourly chart, and I'm just going to do this here. And right now, we're boxed in, and until we can break out of new highs, which is 97.80 or below 96.90, I'd be really careful. 96.90, 97.80. Is that right? Is that what Yeah. So, um, I mean, it's bullish, but our risk is turning right back into a range environment because we've came out of that descending wedge. It's been very bullish for the last few sessions, but if we come down and break through that support, then we're gonna go into a much longer term, like probably summer range. You know, realistically. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's take a real quick look at. I just real quick look to see if there's anything setting up here. So look at the peso. I mean, the peso strong, right? But it surprisingly, the peso. I would have thought with this dollar strength that we've seen, I would have thought that the peso would have rallied to new highs. That would have been my best guess. That would have been my. Obviously, it didn't, but I'm just saying if I would have guessed that here, and I said, wow, if the dollar would really strengthen like it's done, the dollar's done this right here, I would have said the peso is going to hit new highs. We haven't. We've actually just been sideways. So, um, anyway, so let's take a look at the Norwegian. Well, here's the other thing. If for those of you who can trade the peso, so this is just head, shoulder, shoulder. If dollar weakness comes in, okay, just not nothing to look at right now. I'm just saying if for some reason dollar weakness comes in post data today. Norwegian krona, we're toying with this 50% retracement right here. If the dollar busts a move to the upside, this will be a good bust a move right here. Um, as you can see, we're wedging here in the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona. Bullish wedging should break higher with good data. That'll put us higher. Swedish krona. What a rejection yesterday, huh? I know I mean I know I can't trade it, but I know a lot of you did yesterday. And man, I mean it just rejected like this fell out of bed because we were like, hey, isn't the Swedish krona set up for a good short? We were talking about this yesterday, right? It was at 50, I want to say it was at 55. We're like, isn't it a great short right now? And then it just bottom fell out. I had another trader who might be listening right now tweeted me yesterday and said, man, that Swedish krona worked out great. I mean, I didn't short it, but I'll tell you this much. If the dollar is weak, oops, if the dollar is weak, this Swedish krona is going to be a great short. Rejection, break through that support, bottom's going to fall out if the dollar gets hit today. Okay? All right, guys. Let me see if I can take some of your questions. We got a few minutes.